Record. Okay, we are recording. Okay, so welcome to Community. I'm Professor Marvel. Let's see, once I finish this term, I'll be a full 3 years with Fortis, and I love it. Absolutely love it. So I don't know if anybody had a chance to read my bio, but the quick and dirty version is I'm in my 40th year of nursing. I celebrated that in May. I've done all kinds of nursing. I started out in the Navy. I was a Navy nurse. Then I went to a large hospital in Denver and was the director of Women's and Children's Services. So had all the OB, pediatrics, neonatal, did that for 20 years. And then or probably 18 years, and I just retired a couple of years ago from school nursing. There's Cynthia. Just retired from school nursing a couple of years ago. Did 22 years in the schools. So that's where I got on my community and public health experience. And then started with Fortis about 3 years ago. So I always wanted to finish out my career in education. So here I am, and I absolutely love it. So I've had lots and lots of different kinds of experience in nursing. And now for me, it's give back time. It's time for me to give back all my knowledge and wisdom and motivation and everything for the new group of nurses coming up. So doing what I love right now. Absolutely love teaching. So there's Chantel. Okay. Let's see. Let me just check these guys in. Cynthia, hi.
Hi, Professor.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm sorry I couldn't find the link for the Zoom. That's why I was trying to find it out.
Well, it should be in your announcements.
Yeah, I found it finally.
Are you Orange Park?
I'm Cuyahoga Falls.
You're Cuyahoga Falls. You need to complete your quizzes, the technology quiz and the syllabus quiz.
Okay, I'll do that today.
Because you don't have access to the shell unless you do that.
Okay.
Alicia, you're doing it, right? Alicia Harris. Where's Alicia? Alicia, where did she go? She was here. Alicia, are you here? Huh. Okay. I'll sort that out. Yeah, Cynthia, you need to do your quizzes. You need to get into the shell and do your quizzes. Alicia was going to work on them. And then Taylin, you need to work on your quizzes too.
Do you want me to do it now?
Yeah, you can wait till after.
Okay.
Where's Taylin? Didn't we have Taylin in here too? Where'd everybody go? Oh, there you are. Yeah,
I'm doing the quizzes right now.
Okay. All right. All right. Chantel, hi.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me? Nope. She's off. Okay. Chantel, you there? Here you are. Hi. Can you hear me, Chantel? You can hear me. Okay. All right. Put in the chat what campus you're from. That would be great. And that you guys don't have to put your name and your campus in the chat. We have attendance reports, so don't worry about that. So that's a little bit about me. As far as today, what we're going to do, I'm going to do this first. We're going to go through the orientation PowerPoint. We have to do it in week 1 of every term for every class. So unless you've had another class, have you guys had another class today that you've already gone through it?
Yeah, we did this morning at 9.
Oh, you did? Okay, well, we got to go through it again. But there's probably a lot of people who haven't heard it. right? Or seen it. So just be patient. So we'll go through the orientation PowerPoint, and then we'll go through the class and everything. Okay. For those of you that are either repeating, or you're a re-entry, or you have accommodations, I need you, if you're comfortable, you can put it in the chat, or not, just send me an email or stay on after class. I really do want to know who the repeaters, re-entries, and have accommodations are. All right. So that's my first request. Does anybody have any burning questions before we get started on this orientation PowerPoint? I always get off topic. I'm going to cover the PowerPoint first, and then we'll go through the whole class. How's that?
Good.
Anybody have any questions?
No.
Okay, let's pull up the PowerPoint. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. All right, so you guys all know what online learning is at this point, right? You're in term 7 of term 8. Okay, and the reason why this class, or let me ask you, why do you think this class is placed in your second to last term? What do you guys
Because it's a
think?
review of everything.
Yeah. You're bringing all your tools together, right? Another student in our final class last week, when I was asking for an evaluation review of the class, she goes, really, this is like a med-surg class, but it's done in the community. That was her evaluation. This class is very med-surg focused. We're bringing our med-surg, our peds, our geri, our pharmacology, our foundations, everything we're bringing into this class, right? Because remember, now the care is in the community setting. Whether it's a long-term facility, whether it's a clinic, whether it's a medical office, whether it's an acute urgent care, whether it's in the schools, that's where we're delivering care now. All right, so I'm going to skip this one because we all know what online learning is, right? Who to contact. So here's my information. Okay, we're on slide 3. All right, I'm not only your instructor, but I'm also the course lead for the PN program, PN community program. All right, so here's my information. There's a few places you can find my information. You can find it here in this PowerPoint, and everybody got the PowerPoint. So if you want to pull it up, I sent it in an announcement, and follow along and take notes, you're more than welcome to. But it's here on slide 3. And then in the instructor, in your shell, where it says instructor, introduction to your instructor, it's in there. And I'll show you that when we get to that after we cover this PowerPoint. And then here's Dean Brown's information, which I should suggest that you all save. Okay. Her information is here on this slide 3, but it's also in my profile, my instructor profile at the bottom. Okay, so please keep those 2 contacts. Okay, so if you have any issues during the class, let's see if we can solve them between us. Okay, if we can't, I'll bump it up to Dean Brown and we'll get some resolution. Okay, I'm available by email. I'm available by Canvas messaging right from your shell, and by phone. And my phone number is listed in the instructor resources, instructor page. All right, and I'll show you where that is. Okay. Let's see. Online course is a professional setting, communication to be respectful at all times. So I sent you have a lot of announcements, and we'll go through those, but one of the first ones I sent was an etiquette announcement. All right. At this point, being in 7 out of 8 terms, communication etiquette should not be an issue. I don't have any issue. I really don't have any issues with that in my classes. I don't. But remember, you're going to be a professional nurse, so etiquette is really important. Right? Being courteous, respectful, keeping discussions relevant to the topic, be considerate of others' experiences and feelings. Lots of us come from different backgrounds, and we're working in different settings. So I always like to hear real life scenarios of what's going on in your work settings. Use proper language and titles. Don't type messages in all caps. It gives the impression that either you're yelling or I'm yelling, and I'm not going to do that. Late work. Before we even read this, does everybody understand the late work policy? You should at this point, right? You have up to 7 days to turn something in after it's due. But I really try and stress this is only, you have that 7-day grace period if you've contacted me. Okay, I need to know you're going to be late. You can't just not submit something and then submit it the following Tuesday or Wednesday. So it first starts with letting me know. Okay, letting me know you're going to be late, and then you'll have that extended 7-day period. And as you'll hear me say a lot, for me, communication is the most important, very important aspect of this class. Okay, I'm really easy to communicate with. I respond rapidly. Okay, but I need the communication. If there's anything going on that's preventing you from being successful in this class, you got to let me know. Okay, I expect that. Okay, so 1 to 7 days, 10% deduction, 8 or more will be a 0. Okay, you guys are all familiar with that, correct? We all know about attendance, right? We've been doing this now for 3 terms. I think this might be the 4th term, where attendance is recorded during a live session. You're expected to be in this class on Mondays at 3 o'clock. Okay, you can't just go to another session. Okay, you're expected to be, I mean, if we communicate and there's an emergency and you need to try and attend another session, that's fine, but we need to talk about it. You can't just show up at another class. Your names have to be full on the screen, which so far they are. Be on camera the whole time. I don't really want to look at cameras at the walls and ceilings. You can't be in your car. Okay, doesn't matter if you're a passenger, it doesn't matter. You could not, or you're pulled over, it doesn't matter. You can't be in your car, period. Okay, students have gotten better about this, but I always have some issues, but you cannot be in your car. You're really kind of expected to be, it's kind of like you go to ground and go to class. You sit in the classroom. You're expected to be sitting someplace at a desk or, table, whatever, and participating in class. Okay, not out taking a walk around the lake or, with your phone up and all that. So it's the expectation is that you're settled in a quiet place without distractions and participating in class. I don't want to deal with the camera thing. If you're not on camera, I'll maybe ask you once or twice to get on camera. And if not, I'll just have to remove you from the class. That's the policy. That's not my policy. That's our organization's policy. And then remember, the attendance is in 15-minute increments. So if you come into class at 1 after the hour or 2 after the hour, it's already minus 15. Okay, and I can't do anything about that because once I do my attendance reports after class, I have to submit the actual attendance roster that is being compiled now during Zoom, during this class. At the end of the class, I pull off the report, and the report has to match what I put in Campus View. So like I said, even 1 after the hour, 2 after the hour, 8 after the hour, it's minus 15. Okay, if you come in 16 minutes after the hour, it's minus 30. So, and it adds up quickly. So, this is an hour and 40-minute class. In past terms, we have said that the students have agreed we don't need a break for an hour and 40 minutes. And so we try and finish up in an hour and a half. Does that work for everybody? You guys want to continue that pattern? Or we can take a 10-minute break during class. So
Doesn't
far,
matter to me.
yeah, so far it's worked out that
Yeah.
cut the break out and finish up 10 minutes early. So if anybody has any objection to that, let me know. So anyway, attend missing class, especially the, chronically late, that can add up. And then if you miss a whole class, I think it's already at comes out to 8.33%. So there's a whole attendance policy where you get a letter at 5%, 10%, 15. If you get to 20%, you get knocked off a whole letter grade at the end of the term. So this should not be unfamiliar to you. And then you guys all know about the 14 days. If you're not in the shell or don't come to class for 2 weeks in a row, then you're automatically dropped. Okay. Let's see, attendance. Let's see. Attendance is taken daily in class, turned over to the registrar. I just explained that. Everything is in 15 minutes. Will be attendance record maintained by the registrar. Students with chronic absenteeism in excess of 20% of the scheduled hours may receive a failing or reduced grade at the end of the course. Again, none of this should be unfamiliar to you. Students who are absent more than 20% will receive full letter grade deduction at the end of the term. And here's the 5, 10, 15%. Okay, so if you're at 5%, and just so you know, if you end up being tardy like 4 different times, even if it's a minute or two, you're going to be at 5% real quick. So at 5%, you're going to receive an email through Campus View from Dean Brown. If you get to 10%, we'll have a meeting. If you're at 15%, you'll be required to meet with myself and your campus dean. And then at 20%, you're going to get a warning of being either dropped a letter grade or potentially failing the class. But you know what? It's pretty, it goes hand in hand. If you're present and participating, you're going to do fine. If you're absent and not participating, it's going to be a struggle. That's pretty obvious, right? Steps for success, you guys should be well into using these. Reviewing work that's due each week, completing reading assignments each week, complete interactive lessons. All live sessions are mandatory. Carefully read the directions and rubrics for all assignments, right? That's how I grade rubrics. Complete all your assignments, study and complete quizzes and exams. Keep in contact with me. Communication is key, number one priority. Have a reliable internet connection. If you don't, I would highly suggest you be planning on attending class on campus. All right, where you have a secure internet, meaning going to campus to participate in class and definitely with exams. If you don't have a reliable internet, that would be my suggestion, is making a plan to do your class and exams on campus. Maintain a schedule for completing your schoolwork. I mean, this is a really heavy term for you guys. Most of you are taking peds and med-surg and maybe additional classes. So this is a term in which all terms require this, but I think this term in particular require a really solid plan with organization and time management. Okay. Identify a quiet place to do class and exams. Log into class. I mean, I do a lot of announcements, so that's my communication with you guys. So please be checking it 4 to 5 times a week or however you check it. I can see people that are logging on and off. So usually I don't have an issue with that. If I don't see that you've logged on in 3 or 4 days, I may send you an email making sure everything's okay. All right. I had a couple of students that hadn't even logged on to the class yet before this class. So I think that was the quiz issue, because until you complete the syllabus and technology quiz, I don't think you can access the information in the shell. So get that done. Okay. Just submit all your assignments when they're due, including discussions. Don't procrastinate. You guys all know this, day 1 of the term, you're logged on, right? You print, review course syllabus. We already went through that. You guys know the drill. right? Come to class prepared to discuss concepts. So the expectation, there's 5 quizzes in this class, weeks 2, 3, 5, 6, and 8. Those quizzes are going to be given at the beginning of class. Okay. And so the expectation is that you're coming prepared to class. Okay. To see how prepared everybody is. In the past, we've done it after we've presented content, but this term, I need to hold to what the policy is. The policy is quizzes are to be given at the beginning of class. So I will be doing that this term, as will the other instructors. Come to class prepared to discuss, attend additional review sessions. I'm going to be sending you, I'm getting the schedules from the other 2 instructors. The week prior to your exams, we'll schedule there's three instructors in this PN program. I'll be sending you a master schedule of exam reviews and HESI reviews for exams 1, 2, 3, and HESI. So the week before the exams, you'll have the opportunity to attend 3 different reviews, live reviews of the exam material. And then we'll have 3 HESI reviews in week 10. Okay, so that I don't have that ready yet. I'm waiting to hear from one more instructor, but I'll be sending that out this week. Okay, meeting with me to discuss difficult concepts during office hours. That's my office hours. I always, just to have a time, I always do an hour before class. However, I can meet with anybody anytime. Don't worry about that. I just want to make sure you're reaching out if you need help. I will be reaching out one-on-one with students that are either repeating reentry. I want to develop a plan for success. I mean, I want to plan for success with everybody, but I do want to reach out with the repeating students and the reentry students to come up with a tutoring plan. I'm available for tutoring all throughout the term. I hope that you review exams with me after you've taken them. I meet a lot. I spend a lot of time meeting with students throughout the term. So we'll talk about that when we get to the modules. Weekly review sessions. We don't do weekly review. We do prior to exams. Encouraged to attend review sessions. Attendance is taken at the review sessions. This is our breakdown of grades, and we'll go through this more in the module. And by the way, you all have a copy of this PowerPoint. So we are on slide 17. This is also in your syllabus. So 80% are KGAs. You know what that is, key graded assignments, right? So we have 3 exams, 1 HESI, and 5 quizzes. Okay, so your unit exams, 3 of them, 55%, and the other 5% comes in those quizzes. They're 1% each, right? So 55 and 5 is 60, and then your HESI is 20. So that's where you get your 80. Make sense? So you all know this, between those 3 exams, HESI, and quizzes, you have to have a 78%. Right? At the end of the term for your homework to be added in. Right? There's homework. Okay, everything's worth 5%. You're going to have 4 sets of NCLEX questions. You're going to have a community research project. This is your vulnerable populations assignment, which we'll talk about. You're going to have a HESI prep assignment. This is your ongoing preparation. You're developing your own study guide for HESI, which I'll explain. Then you have 2 case studies, one in week 4 and one in week 9, each worth 2.5%. Then, of course, your discussion questions in your group project, they're all pass-fail. That's how we get to 100. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay. I will turn on homework grades probably after the first exam. Our first exam is, whoops, what did I just do here? So homework grades are off for most of the term. I'll turn them on for like a week and a half in like week 5 and 6 so you can see how your homework is affecting your overall grade. If you're turning in your homework, it should bump up. If you're not turning in your homework, it's going to pull it down. Okay, everybody's familiar with that, correct? Combined score, we just talked about this, quizzes, exams, HESI must be a 78 or above for anything before any credit is given for homework. Minimum passing grade, 78 is required for successful completion of the course after the homework is added in. Quizzes are KGA, and quizzes, none of them are turned on right now. Okay, you can't complete your quizzes ahead of time. We'll turn them on the day of class because we do the quizzes in class. Okay. We'll be doing the quizzes at the beginning of class. All right. So you won't get to access them until the day of class. I just had too many students over the last 2 terms working ahead, and quizzes are considered KGA, so therefore they have to be proctored, right? Okay. Quizzes are designed to be given at the beginning of class to allow the faculty insight into the concepts students are struggling on. Requires the students to come prepared for class. There's only 1 attempt for the quizzes. I'll be giving you the first 15 minutes of the class to take your quiz. Exams, same as last term. They're all through ExamSoft. The one thing I would suggest between now and week 4 on your first exam is just log on to ExamSoft. Make sure everything's okay with your account prior to the exam so we don't run into problems in week 4 for exam 1. Okay. This is all same, 1 attempt for the exam. If you're having difficulty, stop. The one thing I would tell you is if there's a reason that you are unable to take the exam, you've got to contact me. I can't do anything after you've taken the exam. If there are extenuating circumstances, an emergency, you got to let me know. We can figure something out. Okay, but I can't hear from you after the exam that you had an emergency, you were up all night, and you took the exam anyway. Okay, accommodations I need to know about each term. Your paperwork may be perfectly fine that you submitted 2 terms ago and it continues on, but it has to be reapproved every term. Okay, exams are during your class time, unless we've talked. Exams, if you want to take exams on campus with a proctor, no problem. No problem. You just need to give me a 72-hour notice. Okay, with your proctor and that proctor's contact information. I'll send them your proctor and copy the dean to make sure they're in agreement with it. And when it gets closer to the exam, I'll send them all the information they need to log you in. So I don't have any problem with students taking exams on campus with proctors. You just got to let me know. Okay. Exams, kind of same as class. The camera has to be on. I check photo ID. I ask you to give me a 360 look of your testing area. No calculator, same thing. No calculators, no earphones. If you need special accommodations, you got to let me know ahead of time. Okay. Missed exams. If you miss an exam without prior contact with me, it'll be a 0, right? If you have missed an exam for personal reasons, you'll have up to a week to take it with a 10% deduction, and assuming you've let me know. And then exams due to an emergency, we'll sort that out. We have to get documentation. I'll submit it to Dean Brown. We can accommodate that. Again, communication. Okay, and I already said this. If something is happening prior to the exam, you got to let me know before the exam, not after. All right. Our goal is to have you successful. All right. So you got to communicate anything going on. Contacting me if you have any problems, if you would just like some additional help. Homework assignments. I'm assuming you're already doing your planning, your 4 steps of planning. reviewing your syllabi, identifying what's going to be due, organizing your calendar, prioritizing what needs to be done, completing your work, and submitting your work. You know, my mantra for this class, I realize it's only that it's a 2-credit class, and the assignments and hours meet that 2-credit class. Okay, I realize it's not as grueling as your med-surg and peds. And so what I tell students every term is block out a little bit of time each week. Get your community stuff done and then be done with it. And then you can focus on your other classes. Make sense? There's not a whole lot of work to be done in this class. All right. But if you stay on top of it, spend a little bit of time each week on community, preparing for class, getting your assignment done, and you can put it aside. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Everybody has their own way to organize. Here's an example of putting all your due dates and questions on a calendar. That's one example. Everybody has their way. I do it on my phone. I have a calendar on my phone that everything's in there. Whatever you're doing up to this point, if it's working, keep going. But remember, this is a busy semester for you guys, and I completely acknowledge that. But you gotta get organized, focused, and be able to utilize your time in an effective way. Late work, we already went through. And I can't stress enough this prior approval. Okay, you got to let me know something's going to be late. If you haven't, then there's no 1 to 7 days. And the other thing is I'm super easy to work with. Super easy. I'm super flexible where I can be. There are areas that I can't be flexible in with regards to late work and cameras on and attendance and all that, but I'm super easy to work with. Super. I'll go to the mat for you guys whenever I can. Okay. NCLEX. Everybody knows how to do NCLEX, right? In your modules, weeks 3, 6, 9, and 11 are your NCLEX assignments. And we give you the categories to select, just like they do in other classes, right? They're there to select. Had some issues last term, I think, with NCLEX 3 and 4 that the pathways weren't working to select it. That's all been corrected through the curriculum team. So there should be no issues with NCLEX. Remember, NCLEX, it's a set of 50 questions, one and done, 50 questions. I can't accept 225s or 510s, right? There's a reason why we do 50 questions at once, because if you start breaking it down, it's not going to give you the full subcategories and questions that you need. All right, so I need 50 questions. Okay. If you submit me in the 30s and it's prior to the Sunday it's due, I'm going to send it right back to you in the 30s. And I'm going to say, you know, if you want to try for a higher score, go ahead. I've reopened it for you. The goal, I would hope that people would be submitting anywhere between 45 and 50. Okay. Because with NCLEX, I'm sure you know this, you can do it. You can do it as many times as you'd like. You can only submit it once. So if you start off and you get a 20, go back and redo it. Read all the rationales of what you got wrong. And if it goes up to a 30, redo it again. Look at the rationales. NCLEX is meant to be a learning tool. Okay. Anytime you can get a hold of rationales for why one answer is correct and why it's not, take advantage of it. It really helps you in your preparation for your NCLEX exam. All right. So shoot for 45 to 50. I hate seeing 20s and 30s because that tells me you probably didn't get a lot out of it. All right. Does that make sense? But if you submit it on that Sunday that it's due, I probably can't reopen it and it's just too late. But if you submit it ahead of time, just don't submit me 30, just submit me 45 and above. That way I know, I don't know how many times you did it, but that way I know it's been a productive exercise. Okay. You guys know how to get to your questions. Remember, I can't accept screenshots. What you need to remember is every assignment that throughout the term is please access that assignment through your shell. Okay, if you access NCLEX by going the roundabout way, like outside of your shell, you're not going to be able to submit a PDF. So access all your assignments from your shell. Okay. But I do need the PDF. It's usually anywhere from 12 to 16 pages. I can't accept any screenshots. And that's the company's rule, not mine. You can repeat the questions as many times as you like to obtain the highest score. You are the master and the controller of what grade you receive. All right. Utilize the course text, online resources. You have lots of resources in your student shell. If you submit a required 50 questions and have 40 correct, you'll get a 40. Okay. HESI case study and practice exam. So you got 2 case studies to do, one in week 4, one in week 9. You guys know how to access case studies, right? Okay, we are not, this class does not have the CJ Sims yet. We are just flat out doing 2 case studies that we've been doing all along. We don't have access to CJ Sim. I think PEDS might have access to CJ Sim. I'm not sure about MedSurg, but we do not. These are straight out Elsevier case studies. Okay. They're accessed through your Evolve account. They're actually all uploaded into your module, so you shouldn't have any issues with that. Your case studies will automatically populate into the gradebook, so there's no reason that you have to send me a screenshot. They automatically populate. Writing papers, discussion post. If you could, I sent you one of your announcements was APA format, just some cheat sheets, cheat information about APA. I'd like to have your discussion questions in APA format, as well as your group assignment in week 7, and we'll talk about that. Okay. Rubrics, you got to follow the rubrics, right? That's how your stuff is graded. Your assignments are graded. So every assignment has a rubric, including discussion questions. All right. And I know you have access to all the rubrics. Here's your APA information, but I've also sent you an email. It's important to, a lot of students forget to cite their sources, whether it's in their vulnerable populations paper, whether it's in their group project. You got to cite your sources. Okay, quizzes. Let's see. Quizzes and exams. Quiz, you'll have access to that at the beginning of the class. They're all uploaded, they're just not published. Okay, we'll do that in the day you have to take it. Technical issues during the exam. What do? You stop, right? Stop. I'm having issues, and then we'll try and resolve it. Whether I have you call ExamSoft support or whether, depending on what the issue is, we'll try and get things the best we can sorted out. Okay, but you can't retake it. Okay, you got to stop if you're having problems, and we'll go through that before each exam. Okay, the HESI, guys know we only take the HESI one time in this class. Okay, one attempt. All right, and then you all know how HESIs work. As we get towards week 11, the campuses will give their schedules. I'll get that out to you, and you'll schedule your HESI. Don't you feel like we just took HESIs? We just took HESIs.
We
So I
did
don't really,
just take Jesse's.
I don't really want to spend a lot of time on HESIs. We'll get to it down the term. We just did HESIs. Remediation is mandatory. You guys know all that. We'll go through that as it gets closer to the HESI. The number of hours you need to remediate based on your score. Same security, photo ID, camera on at all times, face visible. Prepared for the site for your specialty exam, remediation, concepts covered. Be prepared to discuss how care is continued. How can a nurse maintain professionalism? Do the requirements. Okay. All right. So that is a quickie. I did that quick. All right. So let's take a look at everybody here. All right. So somebody just came on. Jatarius?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi.
Are you going to be in this class?
I'm on the schedule in your class, but it's not showing up on my Canvas.
Yeah, it's not showing up on mine either, which is no problem. I just want to, okay, let me, Jatarius, what is your last name?
More, Jatarius Moore.
Moore, Moore.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Jaterr. Sorry. IUS Moore. Okay. And what campus are you from?
Pensacola.
Pensacola. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Let's see. Alrighty. Okay, anybody have any questions about that PowerPoint?
So you're gonna be doing live exam reviews?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good.
Okay, I need to see everybody in their camera and everybody's backgrounds need to be not blurred but clear. Okay. Any other questions about the PowerPoint itself? We're going to go through the class. So, the first question I always ask is, what have you heard about this class?
Nothing much.
Without me laughing.
And
What
I
have you
haven't
guys heard
heard
about
any-
this class? What have you guys heard about this class?
So we're going to get knowledge on how to work with the community, prevent. It's more prevention, detect, prevent, and how to use the prevention.
Yeah.
And it's the first step. the
Primary,
prevention.
secondary, tertiary. Yeah.
Mhm.
We're going to learn all that. Yeah. I want to know what you've heard about this class.
What? Say again?
That is hard.
It's hard. Professor's mean.
I never heard anything about it.
No, I know here nothing.
So the things I hear is it's really hard. It's hard to comprehend. It's hard to follow along. There's too much work. Professors don't understand or stuff like that. Last term, there were some really big horror stories that I heard at the beginning about this class. And I went back at our final meeting last week. I said, hey, did all those horror stories come true of this class? And they were like, no, 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 no. So anyway, so this is concepts in community-based nursing. Okay, what do you guys think community nursing is? What's community nursing? What do you think about it?
Helping the community learn about
Work with all
Learning.
kind of populations.
Home
Mhm.
health.
What
help
else?
the community to prevent infection and educate them.
Mhm. What about providing care in the community? What happens when somebody gets discharged? Do they just go home and wing it?
No,
No.
we need to have some follow.
Yeah.
Follow.
Like the student put it perfectly last week in our exit meeting. She said, this is like a med-surg class. You just have to, you're just doing the care in the community. Right? So we're going to cover lots of things. But it essentially is and especially the HESI and your exams, but the HESI is very heavily med-surg. This class is focused, a lot of your med-surg concepts are going to be brought up in this class. Okay, so we are taking care. We're taking care from the inpatient side into the outpatient side, into the community. Like I said, whether it's in medical office buildings, clinics, urgent cares, long-term facilities, rehab, corrections, in the prisons, in the schools, faith-based nursing, in your congregations, occupational health nursing, that's the work setting, right? You've got occupational health nurses, you got school nurses, you got home health nurses, you have hospice nurses, right? Lots of different, I mean, think about all the care, think about your community where you live now. How do all these people get care in the community from all those different kinds of roles? right? So what I really need you to do is to just take off your med-surg hat, take off your peds hat, okay? And when you come to this class for an hour and a half each week, when you come, you just need to think community. You're doing care in the community. Okay. It's a lot different as far as as far as the approach in the community. Our nursing process is the same, right? We're still using our ADPI, right? It just looks different in the community and how you approach things. So I think this is more of an overview. Well, let me share my screen and let's pull up. Hang on a sec. So let's look at the home page right here. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
All right, so here's the course in a nutshell. This provides a framework to support your practice in community-based settings. That community-based setting can be a home, a school, a clinic, rehab facility, assisted living. Those are all community-based. Think of all the community-based settings as you drive around your community where healthcare is being provided. Okay, so now that you've demonstrated success and competence in the knowledge and skills to care for your patient, now it's time to learn how to incorporate that knowledge, your skills, the nursing process as your role as an LPN, LVN who promotes health and wellness to individuals and families in diverse community settings. Does that make sense? So now it's time to take everything you've learned. Remember next gen. Critical knowledge, putting critical knowledge into practice, clinical judgment, right? This class is heavily focused on the new next gen format, right? Where I'm going to give you the knowledge, and then on your exams in HESI, you're going to put that knowledge into practice, right? So it's scenarios. How do you care for certain types of clients in the community? Okay, we're not testing your knowledge on these exams in HESI. We're testing that you can take this knowledge and put it into practice, which is what we're all doing in your classes, right? Everything's moving to clinical judgment, right? Okay, so throughout the course, you'll be introduced and explore your role in the following manners. How do you collaborate with the healthcare team? Remember, especially in the community, think of all the collaboration needed, right? For a patient, let's say a patient's being discharged from the hospital that's had, let's say, a stroke. What needs to be coordinated? A lot, right? The hospital needs to communicate with the home health agency, with physical therapy, with occupational therapy, maybe home equipment, insurance, primary care doctors. Takes a lot of collaboration. Okay. One of the things we do is wellness promotion. There's a lot of wellness promotion in the community. Okay. And our healthcare delivery and environments such as the home, clinics, centers. We talked about that. Lots of care for individuals with chronic diseases. Okay, the community, one of the most common clients you will have in the community is the client with chronic disease. Okay, caring for individuals with HIV. And then this last bullet is key. We talk about vulnerable populations the whole term. Right? Think about your community. Just think about your community right now. Okay, when you drive around, what kinds of vulnerable populations exist in your communities? I'm asking you.
Homeless.
Homeless people.
Homeless is huge, huge.
Actually,
What else?
People on drugs.
Immunocompromised,
Say that again.
with low immunity, immunocompromised.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Using immunocompromised.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Immunocompromised. Yep. What about substance abuse?
Yes,
Yeah, true.
that's
Mental-
big.
What about mental health?
Yep.
Non-English speaking people too.
Non-English speaking people. Mm-hmm. Yep. What about rural populations? and all the risks that come with the additional risks that come with rural populations. Rural is considered a vulnerable population. Migrant population we'll talk about. What about children, elderly? Just think about it. Just drive around your community and look at all the vulnerable populations. And the communities are getting, vulnerable populations are growing and growing and growing in every community. Okay, so we're also going to learn how to use the nursing process and apply critical thinking and problem solving, right? What resources do you have in the community for your clients? Promoting health and wellness. Okay, so you're going to get a great big overview of what community nursing, a lot of times we use, community nursing is really part of public health nursing. Public health nursing is the big umbrella. And then lots of things fall under public health. One of the things that fall under public health is community nursing. Okay, and as we all know, public health, once we get into this pandemic a few years ago, public health really rose to the kind of the forefront, right? It was a pandemic. So public health was responsible for overseeing everything. And at that time, I was a school nurse and really ended up becoming a COVID nurse. We all did. Worked for a district that had 90,000 students, a couple of hundred schools, and this big team of nurses. There were like 60 of us, and we went quickly from a community nurse in the schools to a public health to a COVID nurse. So the elevation of the visibility of public health nursing has really come to the forefront in the last couple of years, right? Okay, let's go into syllabus. Let's look at the syllabus. So you guys had a chance to look at the syllabus yet?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, let's take a look at it. Well, that's not what I wanted. This is our syllabus. Okay. Oh, make it bigger. There we go. Well, we just kind of went through the course description, introduction to promoting health and wellness in a diverse community-based setting, right? And we just talked about the communities and how diverse they are and all the vulnerable populations, right? So the key concepts we're going to cover: wellness promotion, independence and interdependence, discharge planning, chronic illness, HIV, healthcare delivery environments such as clinics, home, diagnosis-based care centers. Okay. I want to make sure too, before I forget, I have a list here to go through, but everybody needs to make sure they have access to their books. All 3 books assigned to this class, you should already have. Right? Fundamental, where's the books? You can review your student learning outcomes. You can review the course objectives, course requirements. We'll be doing lecture, discussion, readings, online instruction, homework. Okay, so here's your books right here. Fundamentals right here, fundamentals, Med-Surg, and we don't worry about CJ Sim, but here's what we'll be doing right here. Right here. Those are your 3 books. You should already have all these 3 books. Okay, so you need to double check to make sure you have access to all these 3 books. You should, I don't know, you might have a paper copy, but you should have access to them online as well. Make sure you have the right edition. I don't know if anybody's a re-entry student, but sometimes that can be an issue. You have an older version. You need to let me know up front if you have older versions, because I have to get you the conversion guide. All right, so please let me know. Really important to let me know this week if you don't have access to these books. And then look at the reference package you have. You got lots of different stuff in here. It's really cool. If anybody has any issues with math, well, I sent you math resources and we'll go through those. But I don't know if you guys have looked at this Calculating with Confidence book. This Calculating with Confidence book is awesome for math.
Yeah, we have that book.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's in your resources, so you should have it, but access it if you need it. You have your review right here, your review for the NCLEX PN exam. Okay. Strategies for student success. I mean, you should take advantage of these. Okay. So let me know about the books. Grading, we already went over that. What is policy? You guys are going to be held to the student academic catalog, right? Responsibility, standards of professional conduct, late work. I know you have Sims and labs with MedSurg and Peace. There's nothing with this class. There's no Sims, labs, anything. Okay. Here's your breakdown of grades that we already went through. Okay. HESI exams we'll cover down the road, but you know the drill with HESI. Assignments and homework, we went through that. Late work policy, we went through that. And here's your breakdown for a 2-credit course. Okay, right here. Okay, the estimated hours 40. It's 20 hours per credit. Okay, so 40 hours, and there's your estimate where you're going to where we estimate you should be spending your time. Okay.
Is that weekly? That's weekly or?
No, total. No, total.
Oh.
Total. Right? So 8 hours with NCLEX, that means it should take you 2 hours. We're estimating 2 hours per assignment.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then look at all, I don't know if you had a chance to look at the sheet, but look at all the topics we're going to be covering. Okay. Week 1. So for this week, I've sent in, and we'll go through the announcements, but I've sent a recording. Okay, because we'll review the content next week, but I want to send you a recording. We're not covering week 1 content. This week we're doing orientation. Okay. And you also have your notes, which I'll go through. So like this week, the responsibilities, the concepts we're covering, introduction to community nursing, levels of healthcare prevention, Healthy People 2030, and then introduction to vulnerability. So the concepts are listed on the left-hand side. Your readings are in the middle, your prep work for class, and over here in the right column is what's due. Okay, so that's this week. Next week, we're going to take a look at the school nurse, growth and development, common childhood ailments. And you'll notice that your discussion 1 question that's due this week, it's due on Wednesday. You know, you guys know about discussion questions. Your initial post is due on Wednesdays and your peer responses are due on Sundays, correct? Well, this discussion, if you haven't looked, your discussion for this week is picking of introduction to vulnerability, picking a vulnerable population in your community and going through a couple of questions about that. Okay, next week, we only have 2 discussion questions. They're in weeks 1 and 2. Next week, your discussion question is about common childhood ailments, which is one of the concepts. You have to pick 3 and go through a few questions about those 3. So the 2 discussion questions are directly related to the concepts we're covering in weeks 1 and 2. All right, and then as you get further along, here's all the other things we're going to be covering. Okay, family nursing, family health risks, special vulnerable populations such as the migrant farm worker, rural populations, homelessness, poverty. And we're going to continue on in week 4 with special vulnerable populations, talking about the pregnant adolescent, LGBTQ, mental illness, alcohol, tobacco, and other drug problems in the community. And then we'll get into hospice and palliative care, death and dying, faith and spirituality, and talk about ethics. Week 6, we get into occupational health, environmental health, barriers to learning, reinforcing health education. And we talk about infectious disease prevention and control. Then we'll talk a little bit about HIV, TB, STDs, bioterrorism, disaster in the community. And then we'll get to, what do we stop? Week 8 and 9, we're talking about home care, community resources, case management, chronic complex illnesses like COPD, cirrhosis, hypertension, diabetes. And then week 9 is our last week of content. We'll cover human abuse and violence, and then cultural influences in nursing. So as you can see, we cover quite a bit. It's an introduction to all the different things in the community. All right. Questions on the syllabus? So if
So we
I
read the stuff like the that's in our Canvas too, along
What?
with our book.
say that again.
Like the Canvas readings.
Yeah, I'm going to show you that right. I'm going to show you that right now. So let's. I talked about access to books. Let's see. Blueprint, quizzes. All right. Let's go to the actual module. Is this helpful so far?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go into the. Okay. Let me see my chat if I have to answer anything. Wondering when your class on my schedule wasn't showing. No, you're not on my my roster yet, but I'm sure Jetaria she'll get. It's moving. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you for all that information. Okay, let's go into the module. I don't know if I'm sharing my screen yet. Hang on. Why can't I get in here? Okay. There we are. Okay. Here's your shell. So you got a lot of announcements this week. Okay. Sometimes I'm an over communicator and I can drive you guys crazy, but I'd rather have you have all the information. So this one down here, that was your etiquette. Okay. Dean Brown sent everybody a message just confirming what time the class is, who your instructor is, but I would highly suggest you read this email from her if you already haven't. It outlines the attendance policy in detail. Okay. So please look at, what did she call it? Welcome message from National Dean. Have a look at that. And then I sent you a message about welcome to class, what the class is going to be about, lots of generic information, when the class is, this is my Zoom, this is going to be what it is for the whole term. And that includes class, exams, tutoring, having our meetings. We're all going to be on my same Zoom the whole term. Okay. So that, what else? Just want to make sure you know what, welcome to class, review that. This one was the orientation PowerPoint. This is what we just went over at the beginning of class. So you have a copy of that. Okay. I've sent you a nice little resource on APA format, but you also have that in your student resources. And I've sent you 3 different math resources. There are 5 math questions on every exam. You need to understand the basics of conversion, setting up a formula, setting up drips, setting up a pump for hour and drips. Okay, so I've sent you 3. This one right here is excellent. This is Professor Bogart. Some of you may have her for pediatrics. She has a YouTube channel in which she does a really basic math tutorial all the way from the beginning. In this little tutorial, she has some handouts, some cheat sheets and handouts that go along with her tutoring session. if you struggle with math, I highly suggest you look at this. Hey, Jatarius, can you turn your camera on, please? I need cameras on for, yeah, thank you. Okay. So that's one math resource, Professor Bogart. I'll come back to this week one. Is syllabus and technology check, you should already been doing. Here's another math resource that one of my other instructors sent me. Okay, test taking strategies, math calculation tips, view a YouTube video of calculations. Okay, have a look at that. Again, if you struggle with math, you don't want to waste 10 points on your exam for simple math calculations. Okay, and the other math resource, a couple of terms ago, Dean Brown on a Saturday morning did a math tutorial, and it's very, very basic math again. So I would start, if I were you, if you're going to use these, I would start with Professor Bogart's here. Okay, and then I would go to Dean Brown's, and then this additional math resources. You got to be able to do simple calculations and simple conversions. Okay. And then additional opportunity to change your schedule. So this is in your shell too. The last day is this Friday. So make sure if you put in any requests, that has to be done by this Friday. There's no exceptions. All right, we want to have our courses all situated by Friday. Okay. And then I want to go through week one content. Okay, 1 second. Hang on a sec. 1 sec. Let me mute you guys for just 1 second. Hang on 1 second. Sorry about that. Tom was on the phone. Okay, so let me share again. So this was your week one. This was you got last night. This was your introduction to week one. Okay. Homework to do. This is a kind of a description of the course again. Homework. Here's all your readings. Okay, and I'm going to show, so you have your fundamentals, chapter 1, Med-Surg, page 123, and then Canvas reading. I'm going to show you what that is. Okay, and your Healthy People link. So I usually copy and paste this right from your syllabus. Okay, so you're not confused. Make sense? The one thing you're going to receive, blueprint concepts, are attached to this announcement to help you guide and summarize the content. So let's pull you're going to receive this every week. Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. What I have done is this is an outline. This is what I use for my lectures. All right. So you'll receive this every single week. It talks about the concepts that we're going to review. Right. So this is from the left side of your syllabus. Right. Why can't I get, right? So that's from the left. This is from the left side of your syllabus. The readings, this is from the middle of your syllabus. Chapter 1, Med-Surg, fundamentals, Med-Surg. Here's the power. Usually, if you have a whole chapter to review in one of your books, we'll provide you the PowerPoint for that whole chapter. There's a lot of reading assignments that are only a few pages from each chapter, right? Like up here, Med-Surg, page 123. we're not going to provide you the whole PowerPoint from chapter 2 in the MedSurg book, right? Because you're only responsible for reviewing page 123. But if you have full chapters, which you do, there are some, we'll provide you the PowerPoint for that, right? So here's your PowerPoint for chapter 1 up here. Make sense? Here's your other resources, right? Here's your Healthy People 2030 website. That's listed in your reading in the middle column. And then the third part of your reading, if it says see Canvas courses, that's right in your week 1 module. All right, and I'll show you where that is. So there are, I think almost every week it will say see Canvas course. It's right in your module. I'll show you that. So this week there's 4 teaching pages in your Canvas, in your module. Introduction to Community Nursing, Levels of Health Prevention, Healthy People, Introduction to Vulnerability, which is what all 4 all concepts we're covering. Then I have broken down these notes into each of these sections. Okay, so I have got the rest of this information. It follows along with your concepts. Introduction to Community Nursing, Levels of Prevention, Healthy People 2030, and then Introduction to Vulnerable Populations. So it's really organized for you guys. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Every set of weekly notes gives you it. You've already seen them in your syllabus. You've already seen them in your module. I'm just reprinting it for you. You'll see what your concepts are. You'll see what your readings are. And then each concept has its own section in these notes. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And students find this extremely helpful. Let me go back and go back into, sorry. Hang on. Let me go back into your module. I want to show you the week one. Okay, so let's go to week 1 and I'll just show you what these Canvas readings are. Okay, so here they are right here. They're going to be under activities. All right, so you're going to have all your reading. There's all your reading assignments that I've copy and pasted. This is all copy and pasted right into your weekly notes. And then you're going to have your Canvas reading. Okay, so here's your first one, Introduction to Community Nursing. Okay, and then you'll have your next one. Okay, Levels of Health. So you're responsible for these Canvas readings. Does that make sense? Healthy People 2030. Some weeks don't have any Canvas readings, but most weeks do. Some may have 1, some may have 2. This particular week has 4. All right, so it's always going to be under activities. So for this week, you have 4 Canvas readings, plus the rest of your reading. Next week, activities, you've got 2 of them. School nurse, and 1 on lead exposure. So your readings can come from different places. They can come from the book, right? They can come from PowerPoints. They can come from Canvas reading, Canvas module. Does that make sense? I want to make sure everybody understands where to find those.
Yes.
Okay. Couple of assignments I want to point out. If anybody's following along with me, I want this week, before you come to class next week, please write this down. I need you to go to week 9 and I need you to print out your HESI prep assignment. Okay? Because we're going to be working on this all term. I'm going to pull it up here. Okay. That's the rubric. Where's the assignment? There it is right here. Why is this pulled up? Huh. Let's see, open it. Okay. So this is an assignment that's due in week 9. Okay. I need you to save this to your desktop this week. We are going to pull this up. I'm going to do my best for the last 10 minutes of class every week. We're going to go through and we're going to fill this out together as a group. Okay, this is your study guide for HESI, but it's a work in progress document. If you wait till week 8 to complete this, do week 9, it's going to be a nightmare because you're going to have to go back and figure out what weeks we covered things in. Okay, so each week we're going to pull this up and we're going to go in and fill out the topics that we've covered. And what this is a summary of the topics that are covered on HESI. So I've got into HESI. I don't know the questions. We don't do the HESI exam. We put together the exams during the term, 1, 2, and 3, but HESI's done like NCLEX. It's done from a big bank. We have no control over it. But what we can see is the topics covered. So we know there's a question, and this is as recent as last term. I just recently updated this. Okay, so this is what was asked. These are the topics that were asked on HESI last term. There was a question about anthrax. There was a question about all these 5 things with disaster. What the question was, I have no idea. But we know they're asking about the topic. Epidemiology, asking about this question about flu surveillance, SARS, CDC reportable diseases, vertical transmission. We will cover all of this during the term, so don't flip out. Okay, so what else? Lots of things. So this represents 50 questions or 60 questions. There was a question about respite care, a question about falling in the home, question about geriatrics, home nutrition. All right, so this is a work in progress document. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I would appreciate if everybody would save this to their desktop. At the end of the class, we'll pull it up. We'll go find the topics that we can complete each week so that by the time you get to week 9, it will be complete and you just have to submit it. But again, if you wait and try and don't follow along and do it, it's going to turn out to be a huge assignment. All righty? Make sense?
Yes.
So at the end of next week, we'll cover weeks 1 and 2 in here. Okay?
Okay.
And really, if you want to get working on it, I don't have any problem with that. Basic directions are to think of nursing process. As you complete the assignment, please use the nursing process ADPI when addressing completing each topic. So like, for example, add anthrax. What's the nursing process with anthrax? Think assessment. What might they be presenting with? I don't need you to write out assessment, diagnosis. Not that. This is your version of a study guide. There's no right or wrong answer. Some people have a couple of sentences in each box. Some people have paragraph. But in the end, this is your study guide. So like, for example, for an anthrax nursing process, maybe what do they present with? What are the signs and symptoms? How is it treated? How is it transmitted? Right? But much more to come on this, but I wanted to identify this document to you early on because it's something we're going to work on all term together. All right. The other, where am I? Close. I want to close this. Why can't I close this? Okay. The other thing, we went through notes, we went through HESI prep. The other thing I want to take you to is week 9. Okay, week 10. And I want to review the Vulnerable Populations Project. This is something you can get started on now if you want. It's worth 5 points. Okay, the reason why I'm bringing up these 2, HESI prep and vulnerable populations, is because once we get to week 9 in this class, it gets really heavy. So if you can get working on these assignments ahead of time, it's going to be to your benefit. Okay, so let me tell you about this project, and then I'll talk about the last several weeks of the term and why it's so heavy. This is an extended version. This assignment is an extended version of your week 1 discussion question. Pick a vulnerable population in your community and give us a little bit of information. This is actually the same assignment, but it's a research paper and it's a PowerPoint. All right. So you're going to pick a vulnerable population in your community. And here's what you're going to do. It's all lined up for you. I just want you to take a look at this assignment. Health risks, you're going to identify the population description, health risks, resources, service gaps. Then there's your rubric on it. So at the end of the term, this is a really big assignment. Okay. We need between 6 and 10. It's a PowerPoint assignment. So I just want to point that out to you. The other assignment I want to point out to you to have a look at is it's in week 7. It's your one group project. And unfortunately, the weeks that they're due are where the instructions are. I'm going to send you in the next couple of weeks out a list of groups. Okay, you have 4 or 5 people in each group. All right, I'm going to assign each group a infectious disease. Influenza, HIV, hepatitis, scabies, infection. I'm going to send you each group out an infectious disease. You guys are going to work together in a group. Somebody's going to take the lead and email the rest of the group and say, okay, who wants to do what part? And you're going to put together one paper and you're going to turn it in. All right. So that's the rubric for it. So I haven't got this corrected yet, but don't worry. And I'll remind you as there's no peer evaluations. Okay. This is the group submitting a paper and that's it. It's due on that Sunday. But don't be confused about that. I will be more specific as the weeks go on. But I'm trying to get through curriculum. These instructions changed. All right. So what I'm trying to get changed is this paper will be due by Friday or by Sunday, not Wednesday. And then peer evaluations will be submitted. I'm trying to get that removed. There are no peer evaluations. Okay. You'll be talking about transmission, ways to attempt control, surveillance, and you can just have a look at the rubric. That's what we need. That's what you need to do. Okay. Introduction, history of the disease, who's affected. So somebody will be taking the lead on each of these sections, or somebody will be doing each of those sections. Okay. So those are the big assignments. Week 7, you'll get groups in a couple of weeks. Don't worry about it now. Week 9 is your HESI prep assignment, and week 10 is your vulnerable populations assignment. Try and start working on these as early as you can. Because once we get to week 9, 9, 10, and 11 are busy. And if you wait, let me go in here. In week 9, you have a case study, you have your HESI prep, and you have a NCLEX. Okay. Plus, in week 9, that will be a week that we do reviews for the exams. The exams for this class are in weeks 4, 7, and 10. So we're going to be having live reviews in weeks 3, 6, and 9. So there's a lot going on in week 9. Right? Week 10, you have your vulnerable populations project due. You also have an exam. And you will also have, that week we'll do HESI reviews. So you get a lot of things in week 10. And then we jump right into week 11. You go from exam 3 into your HESI. Okay. So once we get to week 9, it gets heavy. So the more you can get out of the way now, the better you're going to be. Okay. So I'll be sending you out the live review schedule. There'll be 3 exam 1 reviews in week 3, 3 exam 2 reviews in week 6, 3 exam 3 reviews in week 9. Then in week 10, we'll do 3 HESI reviews. Okay. So you'll have the opportunity to attend 3 live sessions. We try and do a morning, an evening, a weekend. We try and spread them out. Okay. So that you can try and attend, and I send it out this week because hopefully you can prioritize getting to one. It really does make a difference. You see higher scores with people who attend, students who attend live reviews. So that will be coming to you. I want you to make note of this. I'll repeat it, but quiz 5 that is typically in week 8. That's the Friday after no, you guys will be taking it. Yeah, you'll be on. It's my Friday class. Nothing about quiz 5. I don't have quizzes published yet. I will do it on the day of. The other thing I'll send you in the next couple of weeks is for each exam, I provide I call it a blueprint concept study guide. So you'll have that for each exam. And that is a summary of your readings, of your weekly notes, and of lecture. Okay, so everything is, the dots are all connected. Okay, the study guide, you'll have already seen the information in the study guide in your notes. It's just a more condensed version based on what you're expected to know for the exam. Right, so my weekly lectures cover everything about the concept. Once we get down to the exam, the study guide is much more deep, much more specific as to what actually is going to be asked and covered on the exam. Okay. I'll probably get that exam study guide to you, I'm hoping by the end of next week, but we have till week 4. Campuses I got. Repeat, I asked you to let me know if you repeat, re-entry, if you have accommodations. So that's my list for now. And it's, what time? I'm on Mountain Time, so it's 4:31. So we didn't take a break, so technically it's an hour-and-a-half class. Does anybody, thank you, Virginia. Does anybody have any questions? Has this been helpful?
Yes, really.
Is it information overload? Hopefully not. I'm telling you guys, this is not a hard class. It is not a hard class. You're going to get an overview of what community public health nursing is. It's not a hard class. It's shifting everything you've learned into the community. Shifting your PED skills, your OB skills, OB in the form of teen pregnancy, pediatrics. Because think about it, in community nursing, you could be caring for anybody across the entire lifespan. You could be caring for infants, you can be caring for the elderly. You're caring for the vulnerable population, you could be doing hospice nursing. You could be working in the prisons, you could be working in the schools. So here's where your toolbox gets opened up. You could be working as a city public health nurse or in the rural area, taking care of migrants. All right, so this is an overview to all the things. I mean, think about it. What does it take your community to function as far as healthcare? If you're really not working in the community, you probably don't think about it. There's a lot going on in the community. A lot. This is not a hard class. You just have to keep up. Carve out a little bit of time each week, get your community stuff done, and move on. I'm telling you, everything's there for you. Your weekly notes are not a substitute for reading, though. Okay, and you're going to find this out real quick next week when you come into the first quiz and you haven't prepared for class. And for most students, I mean, quizzes are 1%. Some students at the end, they need those quiz grades to get them over the 78. All right, so just spend some time reading. There's not a whole lot assigned to this class. There really isn't. And don't flip out. This is a very manageable class. We need to get everybody over the finish line. And we'll do this as a team. Okay, I've got my job, you've got your job. I'll work with you guys however you need me to. Support you however you need me to. And by the end, in a couple months, hopefully you'll be thinking, wow, I didn't realize there was so much going on in the community, but there is. Just most people are sick in the no, let me rephrase that. People that get discharged from inpatient facilities usually need some follow-up care, whether that's in a facility or in their home. Think about the risks to kids in the community, risks to elderly in the community. There's a lot going on. That's all I got.
Well,
It's
thank
good.
you.
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. I promise it's gonna be fine.
So independent about everything, this gonna be a study guide or something for the concepts you want us to know precise for the exam?
They're in your weekly notes. You're gonna be getting weekly concept notes. You already got them for week 1. You'll get them for every week. And then prior to each exam, I'll give you I call it a concept study guide, where so for example, for your first exam, we'll be covering weeks 1, 2, and 3. I think there's a total of 9 concepts. You can look on your syllabus for weeks 1, 2, and 3 and see what concepts we're going to be covering. Your notes will cover those concepts, but your notes also include the readings. All right, so don't blow off the readings and just read your notes. That's not what the notes are designed to do. The notes are just designed to give you a kind of a summary of each of the contents, but your reading supplements that.
Okay, yes, because it's a lot of concept.
Yeah, there's a lot of, absolutely. There's 3 or 4 a week, absolutely. But remember, we're just doing an overview of these concepts, right?
So
Because remember, once you get into the community, you need your peds experience, you need your OB, you need your pharmacology, right? Definitely need your med surge. You need geriatrics, you need all of it, right?
Yes.
So will the quiz next week is going to be on what we read this week?
Yeah, it's a combination of weeks 1 and 2. It's not, if you've done your prep work, they're easy peasy.
Okay.
Okay, just do your prep work. If you don't do your prep work, you're probably not going to do good in the quiz. And we'll review the quiz after we take it.
Okay.
Questions? Is this a decent overview?
Yes.
Okay. If you want to stay on after, I'll answer any questions. Really nice to meet everybody. Look forward to the class. Don't worry about it. Be fine. We'll get through it together. Okay.
Thank you. Thank
See you next
Nice
week.
meeting you too.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Have a good one.
You're very welcome.
Bye.
Bye bye.